Joining us now on the phone is one of those House Republicans, Representative Tony Gonzales from Texas. Congressman, thanks so much for being with us. I know you're very busy. Thanks for making time for us. So I just want to give you some updates we're getting from Chad Pergram. He says, according to a GOP leadership aide, when asked about what happens on the floor at 8 p.m., he said, quote, "I have no idea." A lot of Americans, sir, are wondering, when is this going to end? Do you have any idea?
You know what? We're all frustrated, and part of what I'm seeing is political theater. I spent 20 years in the military, and there's not enough leaders up here. It's time, lock everybody in a room, and nobody comes out of that room until there's white smoke and we have a speaker. That's what I think it's going to take. This whole, I want a parking spot, and no, I want this spot on this committee, and all this other stuff. This is what an American last agenda looks like. That's what the Democrats have delivered. It's time. I mean, the American public elected Republicans to lead. It's time for us to leave. Lock us up in a room, and nobody comes down until we get a speaker. Apparently,
there are meetings going on in Tom Emmer's office, the incoming House Majority Whip. So we'll see if those bear any fruit, though. But realistically, how many ballots do you think it's going to take? We're up to 7 now. Before there needs to maybe have a come-to-Jesus moment where Kevin McCarthy might have to pull his name out of the hat altogether and step aside. Is that operative right now? Is that even on the table? Because we've heard from McCarthy time and again that he's confident he's going to get the votes. Are you still confident he's going to get the votes?
The problem I have with McCarthy pulling his name is, here you have over 200 members of the caucus voting for Kevin McCarthy, and you have 20 people that are holding out. And if you allow those 20 people to dictate this is only the beginning. The 118th Congress hasn't even started yet. So what does next week look like? What does next month look like? All we're going to see is hostage after hostage taking. No, enough with that. Like, we need a line in the sand and to go, here's the deal. We need to get in there and we need to vote. I think this whole, some of these holdouts have talked about, I'm against the swamp. And some of their requests are the most swampiest requests I've ever heard. I want to be on this committee, and I want this, that, I want a public apology. They clearly don't represent my district, which is 50% of the southern border, which we're completely overwhelmed. I've got millions of migrants going through my district, not to mention the fentanyl. The people that elected me didn't come up here to go, hey, Tony, we want you to change this rules package. They're going, do whatever you take to secure the border. That's what has me and a lot of us very frustrated, is you have these 20 holdouts who are the minority, less than 10%, are saying, do this or we're going to blow the place up.
Yeah. Congressman, though, it does seem like, and we've heard from Gates and Boebert, that the number could grow even further with the next votes of some of these holdouts. We saw that yesterday. We saw that today with both Jim Jordan being nominated and Byron Donalds being nominated. They only got, 20 votes. You need, if it ever comes to this, a viable alternative with 218. Who is that going to be? And if anyone else could be put forth, would you support Steve Scalise? His name hasn't been put forth yet.
Steve is a great member of Congress, and I'll follow Steve through fire. But there's no doubt that Kevin McCarthy deserves the opportunity to be the Speaker of the House. And like I said, a lot of this has nothing to do with McCarthy. This has to do with, what does next week look like? What does next month look like? Are they just going to hold that person hostage too? And you know what? Maybe it's time to start looking at Democrats. I guarantee you there are Democrats up here that have had enough, that are going, you know what, let's move forward. There's things that this country deserves to tackle, like the border, like inflation and some of these other topics. Of course, not these far left Democrats, but there are some Democrats that are willing to put the country first. It may be time to sit down and have a conversation with them.
Wait, just so I have this right, are you open to the idea of a Democratic speaker? There's thoughts of Hakeem Jeffries or maybe some moderate Republican. Are you open to that? But you want to work with them? Do you think they could be speaker? Is that a pipe dream amongst Democrats?
No. Definitely not a Democratic speaker or somebody that the Democrats choose. I'm talking about Kevin McCarthy having, votes where people that say, you know what, Kevin McCarthy is going to be the speaker.
I see.
I'm not talking about a Democrat-led. Look, House Republicans have the majority in the House, and we need to start acting like it. We got to start putting the country first. And you know what? And these folks are dug in, and they don't want to go anywhere. You know, I remind everyone, President Trump came out and gave a strong endorsement to Kevin McCarthy, and these 20 have thumbed their nose at him and essentially said, your opinion doesn't matter. It's as if they're putting themselves above the party and the country, and this is dangerous.
You know, to your point, though, it does seem not, ideological or policy-based at all. It does seem to be somewhat, petty grievances are at kind of on display here. What do you think this all looks like to the American people? What do you think this looks like to our adversaries abroad? Congress hasn't even been sworn in yet. They can't even do the business they were elected to do because of this. What does it say about the state of the Republican Party?
Well, first, we fired Nancy Pelosi. So I would remind everybody that's pretty damn good. And I'm excited about that. So Nancy Pelosi is fired. That's a win. And you know what? If a Congress can't get its act together, and if we for 365 days are finding a speaker, that maybe is not a bad thing either. I mean, sometimes the damage that the D.C. has caused, and if they just want to spend all this time infighting, I mean, that hurts a lot of people. I'd much rather see Congress leave. But in this manner, it definitely leads some questions. Like I said, this is only the beginning. This is supposed to be the easy part. What happens when there's a debt ceiling? What happens when National Defense Authorization Act or some of the spending conversations or just some of the bills that need to get passed to secure the southern border? What happens then? So there needs to be a come-to-Jesus moment where these 20 people look themselves in the eye and go, can I put the country above my pettiness?
Yeah. Two more questions for you, Congressman. I know you're tight on time, but, when you talk about the concession made with the motion to vacate, when, anyone can, make a call on the House floor to vote against, rejecting whoever the speaker is. If McCarthy makes it over that hurdle, do you agree that should be part of parliamentary procedure, that anyone can bring this forth? Isn't that more of kind of a, British parliamentary system almost? What are your thoughts on the motion to vacate contention there?
Yeah, I think it's inside baseball. That's what some of these people are fighting for. Who wants to have that? Who wants to see the chaos that we're seeing on TV? Who wants to see that every month?
But if McCarthy were speaker, wouldn't he be significantly weakened if that was on the table? At any point, he could be recalled.
I mean, I think that's the point now as well. I mean, you saw what happened with Liz Cheney last year. I mean, at the end of the day, if the conference came together and said, you know what, we've had enough, then that's it. So all those numbers, I mean, whether it's 5 or whether it's 1, I mean, to me, the American people aren't looking at that. They elected us to deliver, some energy independence, securing the southern border, safety for our children, like all these things. And this whole, and I will tell you, Andrew, there are people up here that are loving it in the Republican Party that, House Republicans that this is what they want. This is why they join. This is why they serve, is to create chaos. But the problem is people like in my district that are at the forefront of this border crisis, we're the ones with the short end of the stick.
Yeah, Fox News Digital is reporting they caught up with Kevin McCarthy and asked him that, and he is saying apparently he's preferring not to have another speaker vote tonight. So we could see a quick adjournment there when the House reconvenes. Lastly, apart from this, Congressman, we got word that President Biden might be visiting the southern border next week when he visits Mexico City. What's your response to that? Is it too little, too late?
Andrew, I've asked to host the president on multiple occasions, and I reached out to the White House again today saying I would like to host the president of the United States to have the conversation on securing the southern border. They talk a big game as far as wanting to have bipartisanship and where Republicans, well, here's their opportunity. If they are serious about having conversations on securing the border, then they'll take me up on their offer. If they're not, then we'll just have to see how it all plays out. Thanks, Andrew. Hey, I got to run.
All right, Congressman, thanks so much. Appreciate your time. Talk to you again.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you.